Hello there, my name is Rhiannon, and today I just wanted to share with you what I do to reduce my anxiety. And perhaps if you also have anxiety, maybe you can benefit from some of these tips that I share with you. I started struggling with anxiety in about middle schoolish age, around grade 6, and then in high school I did CBT therapy. And I gotta say, the relationship that I have with anxiety in my mind and the way I think about it, a lot of where that's come from is from therapy. It's not from doing home remedies, it's from actually talking to someone and recognizing how to know myself better. So while these tricks and tips help, they aren't the full answer. If you do feel like you would benefit from seeing a therapist, then you definitely should. Nowadays, I still use a lot of the techniques I learned in therapy if I notice my anxiety starting to get a little out of control. But without further ado, let's get into some of the tips and tricks, shall we? In middle school and definitely the beginning of high school, I really struggled with insomnia because of my anxiety. Luckily though, a remedy for that I discovered in I think about grade 10 or so, ASMR, and I found it actually through a Shane Dawson video of him making fun of ASMR. And as he was making fun of it, I was like, okay, but they're onto something. And because of that, now I listen to ASMR every single night. I find it so relaxing. For those of you who don't know, ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It's a video that has audio or visual triggers that will stimulate like a feeling of like tingles down your spine. You know, if like someone's playing with your hair or tracing on your back, if you get those like fluttery, tingly feelings. It's videos designed to recreate those feelings of relaxation. And because of that, they make me really relaxed. And since I'm really relaxed, I find them easy to fall asleep to, which is the pretty much primary use of ASMR videos, is to fall asleep. So if you're someone who struggles with insomnia, this might be something to start looking up and see if you're into it, see if you get triggered by it, you know? I would have to say my favorite ASMR artists are GB ASMR, Karuna Satori ASMR, and probably Batala's ASMR as well. But lately I found Slate Sounds ASMR, and she is fantastic at making me fall asleep. Next thing I would recommend is listening to music, but don't have any lyrics. Specifically, I'll usually go for soundtracks to my favorite movies. Usually the go-tos are John Williams, anything from Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Those are really good soundtracks, as well as Danny Elfman for listening to soundtracks from Tim Burton movies. My favorite being Edward Scissorhands. That soundtrack can make me focus and just relax and be chill all the livelong day. This one I really like to use when I'm in the car, because when I'm driving and start getting anxious, that's not a good combination. So I have some music that I can just pop in the CD player and now I don't have to worry about it. That definitely is not something that would work for like a full-out anxiety attack, but it can at least help with the leading up to that, or maybe prevent or help prevent it. The next thing is breathing exercises, and I know that everyone always says breathing exercises and you're probably tired of hearing it is just, oh, have a deep breath, you know? I know, because I'm tired of hearing that too. It doesn't, half the time it does not work, just breathing. Which is why you need a specific breathing exercise. One of my first signs that my anxiety is starting to ramp up is I feel like I don't have enough air in my lungs, like that I physically cannot bring in enough air that my body needs. And I start like overthinking, breathing in way too much and just, you know, just doing that to try and like fill my lungs to the point where I think they should be. And then it's hard to stay calm when you're trying to take control of your breath, but too much control of your breath, and then it just doesn't work. And then you just spiral even more. So the first exercise that I like to do is the 4-7-8 method, and this might be one that you've actually heard of before. I know that it's very common. Basically, what you do is you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and release for 8. So you would do like, and you would just repeat that as many times as necessary. Another one that I learned from one of my therapists is the square method, which is you just draw a square. You can do it on like your leg or with a pen and paper or just in the air, wherever, just drawing a square. With every time you change direction in a line, you breathe in or out. So you would be like, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And you would just keep doing that cycle over and over again until you feel like more in control and your anxiety calms down a little bit. I really like doing the square one on my thigh, just tracing it with my finger, because actually like feeling it is another way to help ground yourself. For those of you who don't know, grounding is when you're like bringing yourself back to normal. So actually physically feeling it helps with that as well. Next up we have aromatherapy, which is just good smells mean good times. I really enjoy the smell of peppermint, pumpkin spice, pumpkin in general, apple, cinnamon, pretty much whatever fall scent you can think of makes me very comfortable. This is more so something you would do before your anxiety's fully in swing again. This is something you would do like you wake up in the morning and you just don't really feel right, but nothing has really happened yet. So what I'll do is I'll just first thing when I'm starting to feel those, I'll go through one of these things. It's like, oh, I can't go to bed, no ASMR. Oh, I don't want to listen to music right now, let's try turning on some candles. Another way I relax when I'm feeling particularly anxious or stressed is I'll make myself a hot cup of hot chocolate or tea or coffee or some sort of just warm liquid that is gonna make my soul feel nice. I find hot drinks are a good way to just feel more comfortable and be more relaxed, and it's just really comforting. It's like a hug for your tummy. So yeah, definitely if you're feeling anxious, maybe consider making yourself a nice cup of tea or a nice cup of hot chocolate. Chocolate makes you release happy things in your brain, so have more chocolate. Another thing that can really help when I'm feeling anxious is getting fresh air. And I know that a lot of people say that, and it's another thing that you just kind of brush off, just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll get fresh air, it's good for me, whatever. Sometimes if I get really claustrophobic, like for example, if there's 3 of us in the back seat of a car, I don't like that. I need shotgun. If I'm in the back seat with 3 people, I will start hyperventilating and just freaking out altogether. I don't like that. No thank you. But one of the ways that I cope with it is by making sure, at least as well as I can, that I get a window seat so that I can roll down the window and be near it, and just having that fresh air and being able to, you know, see and not have the glass there, just makes me feel so much better and works for most of the time, or at least for the duration of the car ride requires. I wouldn't say I have boundary issues, but I have boundary issues. Whereas if another person is touching me accidentally or just happens to be near me, pressed against me in any way, I don't want it. And then even in situations not like that, fresh air helps a lot. Like if I'm feeling really icky one day and I can't figure out why, sometimes I'll just go on a little walk around the block and see if that makes me feel any better, or I have like a forest right by me, I'll go through one of those trails. And the next thing I would say is finding positive distractions. One of the things you can do to take your mind off things is an adult coloring book, or one of those paint by the numbers, or just painting in general. You could play some music on an instrument. I personally enjoy the ukulele. And then, or maybe pick up a book or rewatch a favorite show. I find distractions to be really helpful when I'm feeling anxious, because a lot of the times when you're dealing with anxiety without something causing it, that's the thing. There's nothing causing it. Obviously, if there's a real issue, you shouldn't just distract yourself from it. You should actually address it. Whatever is stressing you out, that's an actual issue. Don't just distract it. But if this is just textbook annoying anxiety popping out of nowhere, then distractions are gonna be your best friend. Trust me. And then there is one more thing that I want to show you today, which is my emergency box. Don't really know why I refer to it as an emergency box. That gives it a lot of urgency. It's not actually that serious. It's just a box full of things that help soothe anxiety that I keep all together and don't really touch unless I need it. So I decorated the box with a bunch of stickers on it, just from one of those like giant packs you can get off Amazon, and just made it my own, because before it said like congratulations all over it or something. It was just one of those dollar store boxes that you can get. Okay. And this is the insides. So there are some things in here that help me calm down, and so if I'm ever in a situation where I'm just having an awful night and I just want to shut out the world, I go and I open my box and I just focus on whatever is in the box, and that's it. For example, first thing we see when we open up, we have 2 face masks. After that, I have this mini journal that says be kind to yourself on it. And basically, little ruled journal that if I feel like writing emotions or whatever, I can just write it in that and put it back in the box. Got another candle here. This one was a birthday gift from my roommate. That's a good smelling candle right there. That's a really good one, actually. Got a fidget spinner in case I feel like fidgeting. I have a book in here that I really enjoy, which is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I find if you just throw in a book that you can pick up from any page or just enjoy and can read 100 times, that's a good one to put in. I put in this one because I really like the movie Coraline and I really like the story of Coraline, so it's one that I won't get tired of, so I keep it in the box. And then the next distraction, I guess you could say, is this 300 writing prompts book that I got from Kohl's. This was also in my what to do if you're bored video, but I actually have it in my anxiety box now because I find just writing it and filling out the prompts is a lot of fun and a good distraction from feeling sad. This prompt up here says, snakes, interesting or creepy? Why? So, you know, you can just spend a whole afternoon on that. And then in here I also have a sketchbook in case I feel like sketching. The only thing I've the only thing I've drawn in it so far is a little ghost. Ooh, spooky. Also in the box I've got some gum. The reason for the gum is if I don't want to eat the glossettes. And the reason I want to be eating or chewing something is because that's one of the oldest tricks in the book for getting rid of anxiety. Naturally, before we had as easy access to food as we do now, if we were eating, it meant we were safe. So now if you're ever feeling really anxious, if you have gum and start chewing it, it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that everything's all right, because why would we be eating if we were in danger? And it starts to slow down that flight or fight response that anxiety typically has. But yeah, so that's my box. I strongly encourage you to go out and make your own box. I just slide this right under my bed, and whenever I need it, if I'm having an anxious night, I just have a nice little cozy time with it. It's actually quite relaxing. And so yeah, those are kind of all my tips and tricks for dealing with anxiety. Again, a lot of the ways that I deal with it are from ways that I've learned from therapy and just all internal, but these are some of the more physical things you can do to have influence over it. So yeah, that's kind of it for me today. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up as well as subscribing to the channel if you want to see more content.